Hello everybody, welcome to Red Tool House. Today is one of those non-typical winter days, although I don't know that I can call them non-typical anymore since this seems to be the norm. Today is, I'm on the North Ridge. You can tell by the fact I'm standing in the sun versus standing in the shade. So I'm in the North Ridge. I'll mark it here on the map. But it is 11 a.m. I think it's about 55 degrees, supposed to be as warm as 60. We'll see. Keep losing layers here. So today that I'm recording this is actually Christmas Eve. And so here it is, Christmas Eve morning, if that makes sense. And just, the day that I normally take it pretty easy. Depending on what the weather's like, enjoy it. So we've got a beautiful warm day, hardly a cloud in the sky. Decided I'm going to come down the North Ridge where the sun is. I feel at times I'm solar powered, or most of the times I'm solar powered. And I feel much better when I'm out in the sun. But Kelly's cooking. The boys are kind of hanging out there. Obviously, now that they're older teenagers, are not as excitable as Christmas as it used to be back when I'd stay up late at night putting together little train parts and stuff. But they're still looking forward to it. Obviously, having family over, doing that type of thing. We'll skip out later this evening and go to our candlelight service at church, which is a really good, enjoyable time for us to fellowship with friends and family. But take advantage of this beautiful day while I'm here instead of just sitting around. You can look here. Several weeks ago, we had a pretty good windstorm, and this is kind of my main road through the North Ridge. The house sits back there. All the barn and farm animals are way down over the ridge there, and this just goes all the way back. This is the whole length of our 100 acres. It goes way, way back there. So this is kind of my main thoroughfare. And we've had some cherry here. This multi-trunk cherry has kind of given up the ghost and with these limbs and dropped them across the road here. So we're going to get some of those cleaned up and probably go ahead and cut a little firewood. This cherry I may cut up to burn. It's not the greatest to burn. I mean, it burns nice, but it's if I had my choice, I'd be burning oak or ash, those things. We'll cut a little bit of this up, get it out of the way, and move on back and maybe show you guys a little bit of the North Ridge here. I think I got another small one in the road there. But this has got to be one of my most favorite parts of the property. This whole area starts to bank this way and comes out. My road goes on around and then turns and goes on out this ridge. But this little point is a very rocky point. Has a lot of good trees on it. And we've got, I don't know if you can see that yellow mark there. That's a red maple. Decent poplar here. Some cherry. Here's another red maple. A lot of ash. I think I've shown you all in the past, if you watch the channel, ash along that back little bench there. A lot of it has died out because of the ash borer. In fact, almost all of it's died out. There's, I don't know if you can see here, there's one right there, all the way back. That one's dead as Dillinger. But just a very eclectic variety of trees. And I think back in the 50s and 60s, this area was cleared and had been pastured. At least the left side of the road had been pastured, because there's not a lot of old growth of anything there. There's some decent sized white oak in this area. That leads me to believe it was wooded for a little while longer. But our property line, you just basically follow the skyline all the way up the ridge there and to the top, and then it breaks out to follow the spine of the ridge. And since this is the north ridge and south facing, they won't put the camera right in the sun. You can obviously see right here before noon how much daylight this is getting. Even, I mean, we are what, 1 day, 2 days after the winter solstice. So we are at the lowest, sun's pretty much at its lowest spot for the year. So the amount of sunlight that this gets throughout the day is just incredible. So this really makes a nice area of production of mast. A lot of deer activity, tons of squirrel activity in here. A lot of good stuff. Always talked about getting the pigs over here. It's just a long way. Like I said, they are way down over there, so it's a long way to get infrastructure up here. But one of these days we may. So I think there's an unwritten rule of the forest will say, that if you're a tree and you think you're going to die and you're going to fall, you got to fall across the road. It's like, oh, make it, yes, I got there. So this is what, the fourth tree down over the road since we started with the first one. And this one I knew was going to come down sooner or later. This is an old red maple. So this guy had a lot of core rot. This maple tree has actually been standing, well, before I bought the place, of course, 20 years ago. But when I had the place timbered 20 years ago, this, as they skid logs out here, they scraped against this one pretty good. And you can see some of the scarring here from that. And of course what that causes is that tree to become prone to disease and infestation. So there's a lot of carpenter ant activity going on in this old girl. So she got hollow, and then she didn't make it through the wind. So I'm curious to see how far up hollow she is. She's got a lot of little knots and things in her. If she wasn't hollow, she'd be a decent saw log, and with all those little knots and whorls and everything in it, that could be some sexy woodworking wood. But I have a feeling she's going to be hollow about right here. And there's a weird looking bend there, so we may not mess with that. Let's see what we can get. It shows you what I know, right? Look at all that maple syrup coming right out of there. Isn't that crazy? Ready to go straight to the pancakes. Well, I was wrong. Clearly she was only hollow where the break was. So, fooled you. Oh well. Got some really dark heartwood there. Yeah, if somebody hadn't cut that in too, that may have been a decent log to try out. Oh well. Definitely got some spalting going on there. See all the different things happening from the heart and the pith. It's not punky. So you can see all the different knots and crotches, and then even had the top broken out at one time, so this alternate crotch took off, alternate top. I've got about a 8-foot really funky log there, but I think I'm not gonna cut her up. I think I'm gonna just get her out of the way here and plan on skidding her down and put it on the mill. Just slab it maybe. There should be some really neat stuff going on inside that, so that'll have to be another video. Opening that up and see what we get. So here's another really neat part of the North Ridge. So right back there was the maple that we just cut up behind the side-by-side. And this is that point that comes down. It's really rocky. It's got some rocks. Topsoil's pretty lousy there. But then it comes back around into this watershed and my road goes on out. But this entire slope is so gradual. I mean, gradual for West Virginia. I could easily, some of my side roads, I could take tractor easily drive right up that without any issue, and just has a nice lay to it. And it's largely white oak. I mean, this is a ton of white oak in here. A little bit of maple, a little bit of hickory, some red oak, but primarily all white oak. Produces tons of mast. I always see deer in this area. In fact, a buddy of mine just came up 2 weeks ago and he killed a buck right here. There's a big rock outcrop. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's kind of this mound of, my finger lined up with my camera. It's this mound of rock right here. The watershed actually comes around both sides of it. Just kind of whips around here, whips around there, and comes down and crosses my road here. And down here, if you guys have watched the channel for a while, where I had the dozer in here 2 summers ago, this is a spot where I almost got it buried up because this is so soft due to a spring. So what's crazy, this was always wet through here. And then one year, this whole bank just broke away. And that maple tree you see right there was standing and still growing right in the dead center of my road. So I came up with a dozer, of course, cut a deeper channel here to get some overburden, fill this all in, and it just kept sinking and sinking and sinking. I'm like, I'm never going to get this dozer out of here. Finally got it out. I'll link to the video if you guys want to see it. I got it out. But then after everything settled, notice that right here, there's a hole of water that comes up right here out of the ground. You can kind of see how there's a little, well, I don't know if the camera's picking up on that, but there's a little bit of a depression there. But, there's just standing water everywhere. So I got to get this spring that comes up right here trenched. So I need to build up the road more, I believe, through here. Get it trenched to come around on the uphill side of the road. Put a nice culvert in here and obviously catch that spring water and channel on down the valley. And then eventually come back and maybe do a spring box here. Where I'm at on the property, I'll show on the map. But our retreat is right down this watershed. It's the next bench down. So there could be some value in capturing this water and just plumbing it. I could get down to the retreat in less than 100 yards, I believe. So, but it's probably 80 feet, 100 feet in elevation drop. So we could have some pretty good pressure there if I can get that water captured. But you can see just the water coming down this valley has cut this channel out. So I need to get all this mitigated, get some, need to get some big stone in here. So probably have to go that way or that way to get some stone. Fill some of this in with a culvert. So check out this, this habitat hole here in this side of this dead red oak. I zoomed in real far, and of course, had the tripod so it doesn't shake all over the place. But I was out here the other day, just standing around. You kind of had that feeling that something was watching you, and looking around, and I looked up there, and there's a big old red squirrel. He's just standing right there on the lip of that, eyeballing me from the inside. I guess he was wanting to see what I was doing in his front yard. But that's really neat. That's the kind of stuff that I like, and I have a feeling at some point an owl probably is going to vacate that red squirrel and take over, because that's too good a place to be hanging out. That opening, again, you can't tell by scale from this direction, this angle, but that opening is probably about 8 inches tall. So it's a decent sized barn owl could get in there. So this is about 3/4 back on our property. 100 acres is like a big tube sock or just a valley, so everything that drains into it is us. And we're still on the north ridge. You can kind of see how the sun's casting the shadow. We've moved a little bit further south. Actually, no, a little bit further north. Going the wrong way. But to me, this just epitomizes Appalachian hardwood forest. It's just gorgeous. I'm going to do a little 360 here with you, so you can hopefully get a better feel. I know cameras don't do it justice. So there's the camera that you're seeing me talk to, and then let's take a ride here. So we've got our northern slope. Slopes to the north. This property line is at the top of the skyline, top of the sky. Way up there is the top of the ridge, which is our property line. Come on around. And of course, here's our road that goes on out. That road goes out, winds all the way out, then turns and goes up the hill and catches a parallel road system that goes all the way back to where we started. If we come around here, this is the saddle. Gas line right away comes down through here and back up. So all that's us over there as well. So that begins the south ridge. Big clearing down in here where I've mowed in the past. You can see a little bit of a clearing in the pipeline right away there. Try to get out of the sun here. And then just back around. The diversity of hardwood species out here is phenomenal. There's just so much you can learn, and of course the flora and fauna is extreme as well. I've yet to actually see a bear in this valley, but I've seen bear sign. A good buddy of mine that hunts just over the ridge behind me, he's seen bear. Had one actually tear up the seat of his four-wheeler. I think I may have talked about that in a previous video. Of course, deer. We've got bobcat. We've got fox, coyote, raccoon, of course. Got all that type of stuff just running rampant through here. It's gorgeous. A little hard on farming sometimes, but just absolutely gorgeous to see it all. Days like this, I just appreciate coming out here and standing like an idiot in the woods, or just pick a spot to sit down and see who's going to walk up. Squirrel or deer or something like that, just walk right past you sometimes if you're quiet enough. So this is what I consider the back of the property, the end. So here's a clearing. The pipeline right away goes steep up the side of the mountain. Our property line is up there, which is still, my goodness, 1,000 yards? Maybe not, maybe 500 yards. And then comes around here. But this is where my road, I'm standing on the road, turns and goes up the hill. So you can see that water bar cut right there. It just goes on up and out, hits the bench closest to the ridge and turns and goes back toward the house. So here's the road I just walked on with you guys. So I think, giving you just a take of what I call our North Ridge, which is our property comes and turns this way. So if you said the watershed divided the valley in half, it wouldn't be completely accurate, because this is the shorter side. The South Ridge is actually more acreage because it's the longer of the bend. But I feel compelled to say this. I get a lot of comments from people that say, stop cutting down the trees, Troy, you're destroying the forest. And I would just say that if you look here at the North Ridge, just the North Ridge side, just the walk that we've done, and you can see how much hardwoods we have just in, this is probably 40 acres total. It'd take me 4 lifetimes to even put a dent in this, to even begin to tear away at the ecosystem of this beautiful forest. Me coming through here with a diesel tractor or a gasoline-powered side-by-side, yeah, it makes a little bit of a footprint. And if I cut this white oak down, that white oak's gone forever. But its brother, its sister, its uncle, its cousin, its nephew, its niece, its blah, 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 they're all over the place. Now, I'm not going to come in here and slash and burn and set this place on fire. But when I come in and harvest a tree that I want, that I'm going to turn into something, whether it's a barn or whether it's a dining room table, fortunate enough to have the freedom and the ability to do so, so I will. But I don't think I'm going to destroy an ecosystem, not in my lifetime. Hopefully my boys, if they take over this farm after I'm gone, hopefully they feel the same way. But you can just see how much beautiful hardwoods in here it would take me an eternity to collect. Sit here under this spread of white oak. Obviously a squirrel's been having lunch here. Well, recently we did the survey. I've done that every couple years, it seems like. Just survey you guys, the viewers, just see where you are, have input on how you make the channel better, those type of things. But one question I ask at the beginning is, where are you in your homesteading journey? And it is surprising to me that there's still right around 50% of you that say you do not own your homestead property yet, or you're not yet homesteading, but yet you want to. Some of you say, well, no, I don't own that property and I really don't want to. I just like to watch what's going on, which is fine. But those that say, yeah, I really want to homestead and I don't have my lands yet, that surprises me that it's as high as it is. Now, that's not that I'm diminishing you people in that situation. In fact, I want to encourage you, if you haven't found your lands yet, just don't give up hope. Keep looking. Maybe lower the bar if you have to, if it becomes a financial thing. But just be diligent in your looking and look in non-traditional ways. I don't think the ideal price, the best deal, the greatest piece of land that you can get is going to be advertised right where everyone can see it. It's going to be something that's maybe hidden. Maybe it's just not. Maybe the people don't even know they want to sell it yet, as with this place. And I'll be the first to say, my 100 acres here in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains in southern West Virginia is not ideal for farming. If I had 100 acres that was flatter, I could do all kinds of stuff more. But I love what I have. I love where I live. This is my home. I grew up 50 miles from here. So I have deep roots. I feel like I'm as rooted as much as that white oak right there is to this land until God moves me. But those of you that are looking for land and haven't found it, just keep looking. Look for something that's maybe a diamond in the rough. Maybe look for something that requires a lot of vision, requires a lot of sweat equity. If you're 20 years younger than me, in your 20s, then man, just plan on working your butt off and finding something. See if you can get a rent-to-own option or an owner finance. Just be careful with those type of things. Find somebody that maybe will rent to you at first, and then you can get your feet wet and experience in what you want, and maybe that helps you better determine where you need to go. Don't be afraid to go super rural. There's obviously pros and cons to that. We have horrible internet access here, but I don't care compared to all the benefits I have of being where we are. Well, I know this is probably one of the most rambling videos I've ever produced. It started off as one thing and has kind of become another. If you're seeing this, I guess I decided to go ahead and make it live anyway. But if you like this kind of video, and then obviously just give me some feedback. If you say, Troy, get to work, quit lounging around. Again, it's Christmas Eve, so I don't feel like I got to bust my butt today. I'm going to relax. In fact, I may just kick back on this rock and soak up some sun. All right, y'all have a great Christmas and take care.